Yeah, hi, this is DJ Cy from Croydon, England. I don't know what you want me to say, really.
So we have you last night on the Dreamland event in Bremen. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, definitely. I did last time as well. I mean, you know, that's the second time I've been out and asked to play an old school set, so yeah, it's wicked.
What do you think about those old school stuff? For how long do you play this stuff now as a DJ?
Well, I've been doing old school, sort of taking a resurgence really over the last couple of years. Since about 96, I've been doing old school sets almost as much as up to date sets now. I mean, it's like a real big thing in England at the moment. So, and obviously over here that's picking up as well. So it's really popular over here, which is cool.
What's the difference between the English crowd and the German crowd? Do you think there is a difference?
Not really, not that much difference. I think the main difference is in the dress, really. I think like the English people, like especially the girls, tend to wear a little bit less. So I don't know why that is, but you know, I'm not complaining about that. But and I think it seems to me like the German crowd still know most of the tunes. Like when I drop them, you know what I mean, they still get into it, so they must know the tunes. So it's cool. It's good. It's all good.
Talking about your productions, what have you released in the past time?
What, since I started, or recently? I've got a label called Quash with my partner DJ Unknown. I think he's coming out here for the Slamming Vinyl party, so he'll be out here then. Lately we've had a couple of really big tunes. Devotion, which I did with DJ Demo, that sold really well. The Dreamland Tiny Tots Disco Land remix, that's done really well. Just released something I've done with two MCs, MC Storm and MC Charlie B, two of the big MCs on the hardcore scene in England, and that's just been released and that's selling really well as well. So yeah, we've been quite busy on the releasing front.
Are you really interested in doing remixes?
Yeah, we've done quite a few remixes lately, but to be honest, we tend to prefer working on our own stuff. I mean, the main remix we've done recently is Hardcore Vibes for Vinyl Groover. We've done a remix for him on his label, Word of Obsession. So that's just coming out now as we speak.
Are there plans for our own album?
Not at the moment, no. We're going to concentrate on the 12-inch singles, really. With the hardcore scene in England, it tends to be the varied artist albums that tend to sell better. I think Force and Styles might be doing an own artist album, but to be honest, it seems like the sort of compilation CDs sell a lot better than the single artist albums. So we'll just concentrate on that sort of tip.
What are your next gigs, your next dates then?
What, abroad or in England? Do you mean?
Wherever.
We've got this Dreamscape this Saturday coming up. I've got another old school set on Friday actually in Club in Taunton, which is in near Devon in England. That's really kicking down there. That's a really good night. There's a Helter Skelter coming up in England. Another old school set in Ipswich. There's just so many, man. So many. I can't remember all of them.
Helter Skelter is more hardcore like.
I'll be playing hardcore, but it's not really. No, it's not. I'd say it's 50% split, really. I'll tell you what, actually, the old school room up there has been really popular lately as well. Because I don't think he used to do an old school room, but he's started to do one now, and that's always kicking. It's really good. So I'm looking forward to that one. I'll be doing an old school set there as well.
The Helter Skelter thing is coming very big in England, isn't it? I mean, I read about in a magazine a few months ago, and the people were really impressed and they enjoyed it. They said it's one of the best parties going on in England.
Yeah, I think at the moment, Helter Skelter is probably the biggest one, to be honest. I think where Dreamscape, when Murray Beeston died, I think that was in '96. Since then, they've sort of tailed off a little bit, but they're trying to come back this year with the next party. They've put a lot into that one, so maybe Dreamscape will pick up where they left off and sort of come back up to rival Helter Skelter. But yeah, you're definitely right. Helter Skelter is really the main. That's the one at the moment. That's the one that everyone. If anyone's going to go out to a party, just one party a year, that's the one they'll go to. So that's the one.
Talking about the dub plate scene, are you using dub plates or pressing dub plates of your new stuff or of stuff from your friends? Or what do you think about the dub plate scene in England?
For the hardcore scene, it used to, a couple of years ago, dub plates were really prominent. Lots of people used to use them, but now I think people tend to try and put the tune straight onto test pressings, because obviously it's a lot cheaper. So really, I mean, yeah, I do use them occasionally, but people are getting more into just pressing up the record straight away and then just letting off only a few test presses. So like, say if I do a tune and I only want it played by a few DJs, we'll get it on test press, like we'll get 70 test presses done and then just mail them out to say 6 DJs just to keep it a little bit exclusive for a while. And then that saves, but like, dub plates are quite expensive, you know, it's £25 per plate really for only one tune. So it's a lot cheaper and it's better press as well on a test press. That's the way we do it in the hardcore scene.
What about radio stations in England? For example, DJ radio stations to spread around the sound.
Yeah, for hardcore, it's not really happening at the moment. You know, I don't know what it is. It's never been seen as a music for radio. Whereas Drum and Bass has just got a show on Radio 1 and they've got things on Kiss. We've got something on Kiss FM actually in London, but then that's just London. We really need like a show to cover the whole country. It's a shame because, I mean, if you look at the sales figures for things like Bonkers album, I don't know if you had that out here. Have you got Bonkers out over here? Have you seen it? It's on Reacts. That's like a big hardcore compilation album, and that's outsold even like the Ministry of Sound compilations and things like that. So it just shows that the kids like really do go for hardcore, but the radio just won't get behind it for some reason, and it's a shame, man, because it's, you know, I think it's the most ideal music for people of like the 15 to 20-year-old age group.
That is the problem we have with the so-called alternative sounds, whatever that may is acoustic or electronic thing.
Yeah, definitely. I know what you're saying.
Even though if it is not mainstream, they won't play it.
Yeah. Is that the same? You get that over here as well, yeah?
Yeah, really. That's why we do our own radio shows.
Oh, do you? Yeah, what? Illegal or?
Yeah, we did legal. It's the open channel where we do this ones. Yeah, where everybody can do something if he wants to.
Right, yeah, I mean, the pirate scene, like pirate radio in England, used to be really big, but the authorities have just clamped down on it so much now. Like, there used to be a station called Dream FM in London, which used to cater for hardcore as well, and I think that's finished now. So, but like, it's just, that's what's happened to the scene in England, really, the hardcore scene. Whereas you got, like, as I said, Drum and Bass on Radio 1, so all the people are getting to listen to it. With hardcore, there's a lot of places like that used to be really good for the scene, like up north, you know, little towns like Hull, say, for instance, where people there'd be a hardcore club there, so that the kids in the town would get an outlet for the music. But now, when the authorities have shut down the clubs, there's nothing to replace it, plus there's nothing on the radio, so the kids aren't just hearing the music. Whereas I just think if there was something on Radio 1 or something like that, the whole scene would just explode. I really do think it would.
And which area in England is the best area for hardcore? Where are the most people?
Well, London's got a lot better, even though we've only got really one main club, which is Slamming Vinyl at Bagley's. That's the only real sort of hardcore venue, but whenever he does it, it's rammed, do you know what I mean? And because they've got Kiss FM now with a hardcore show every week on a Tuesday night, and I think that's really helped. But I mean, there are places, Swindon, that's quite good for hardcore. Wales used to be good, but because I haven't got a club there anymore, I couldn't really tell you whether it's still good. So, but you know, there's little pockets all around the country.
What about the Scottish scene, Scotland?
I've never really liked playing in Scotland for some reason. I don't know. I think it's because they go for the really cheesy stuff, and I'm not really a lover of the real cheese, and it's not really me. Do you know what I mean? So I've never really enjoyed playing up there. It's either like real cheese or really banging hard stuff, which is not me.
We heard about a rave hardcore scene in Scotland growing in the last years. Is it still doing there? Growing, yeah, the hardcore scene? north.
To be honest, I mean, because they've suffered the same thing as we have as well. Like they've got a lot of clubs being shut down and stuff like that. So as far as I can see, I mean, I used to play up in Scotland a couple of times a year, but I don't play up there at all anymore. So I think they've lost their clubs as well. You know what I mean? So I think it's all gone to house.
Is a criminal justice bill still working in England, or do you have problems with that law?
I don't think it's not really anything to do with that law, to be honest. It seems to be like where the clubs that are closed down over the last couple of years have really been ones where like kids have taken too many drugs and died on the night, and they just close them down just because of that, not really because of the Criminal Justice Act. So it's just basically like a backlash against people, taking too many. But then that's just down to education, If like people can get across to the ravers, like you're not supposed to go out and do 20 E's in a night. Do you know what I mean? That's not. People have got to realise that's stupid. At the end of the day, one person being silly means that thousands of people suffer because there's no clubs for them. Do you know what I mean? So that's the sort of message that really needs to get across to the kids. Be sensible. Everyone likes to have a good time, but he's taking it to the limit. Do you know what I mean? There's too many people doing that, and it always seems to be the hardcore clubs that get the focus of the media, like bad press. Do you know what I mean? There's so many house clubs around, well, there's so many more drugs in them, but because it's hardcore, it just gets bad press every time. So we're struggling against that all the time. Do you know what I mean? It's difficult, man. It's difficult.
It looks out at always saying it's a drug problem, but I think it isn't only a drug problem. It's like you said, cigarettes and alcohol are also drugs, and I think that is much more dangerous than some drugs like smoking cannabis or stuff like that. I think alcohol is much more dangerous than.
Yeah, no, definitely, definitely right. I mean, I think there are a lot of sort of attempts now by the authorities to try and educate the kids about drugs. But it still needs more. I just get sick of the fact that they keep picking on the hardcore clubs for it. Do you know what I mean? Like I said, you walk into any even a normal commercial club nowadays, and I bet you find more drugs or just as many drugs in there as you will in a hardcore rave. You know what I mean? People are taking speed and that kind of stuff. When they're drinking or whatever. Why can't they get picked on? Why don't those clubs lose their licence? Why is it always the hardcore clubs? You know what I mean? In fact, and the amount of trouble that you get in a hardcore club, you never get any trouble in hardcore clubs. Whereas commercial club, man, if you want to fight, you just go down one of them, you'll get into a fight, no trouble. You know what I mean? So.
Do you think it's a problem of the lifestyle of the people or the environment, for example?
What you mean?
And that clubs are going down, and that the hardcore scene is maybe going down somehow.
What you mean, environment as in?
The environment where they live in.
No, I don't think that's.
Just paying their little money for using drugs or something.
Yeah, no, that's probably right, because I know a few people come from bad backgrounds, and they do look forward to the weekend where they can just go out, spend their money on the drugs, and go and have a good time. But what else have they got to live for? Some of these people, like the government, aren't helping them with finding jobs and shit like that. So fair play to them. Do you know what I mean? That's their release every weekend. That's their release from the downside of life. So at the end of the day, if us guys are helping them to stay happy and give them a good time, well, I'm up for that. You know what I mean? I just wish that they'd be more sensible with the drugs if they're going to do them, man. They just got to calm down a bit.
Yeah, I think that's all. Do you have any question?
Maybe just last standard questions about future releases.
What have we got planned? You've got me on a knife edge there. I can't remember. We've got there's a killer signed demo, the B-side of Devotion. We've got a remix of that coming out soon. There's Listen to the Ace remix on Quash coming out, and a new artist, DJ Storm. We've got something new by him, 2 new tracks by him on Terrific Tunes. So, but I heard that it's quite difficult to get hardcore out here in the shops. Apparently, it's really difficult to get hold of it. I don't know why that. Do you know why that is? Or, I mean, we want to try and sort of flood you guys with hardcore. Do you know what I mean? About time.
Maybe you only change the name of the style, and so the people will buy your records.
Yeah. Is it?
That's a problem maybe in Germany. If some of the music call it speed garage, they buy it, and it's just called garage.
Really? And that's what is that what it's like with hardcore then?
Maybe.
Maybe in Germany.
Yeah. I mean, because it used to be like sort of a couple of years ago, hardcore was like quite a massive scene, wasn't it? But for some reason, it's just all sort of switched to drum and bass. I don't really know why, because I remember like really sort of hardcore used to be kicking out here. Do you know, like even though it wasn't really like breakbeat hardcore, but like the mental hardcore, techno hardcore, etc. That was massive out here, and I would have thought the sort of stuff that we're doing would appeal to that kind of audience. We'll have to see.
Yeah, then thanks a lot for the interview.
Thanks very much. Yeah, brilliant.
Can you make a station ID for the radio show? It's called OK Radio.
Blew out on OK Bremen. Right, blew out. What do you want me to say? Sorry, this is Blue Hour. Yeah, this is DJ Si from England, and you're listening to the Blue Hour on OK Radio in Bremen. Big up.
And also the same maybe for my radio show, Joint Venture Radio. Also on OK Bremen.
So it's Joint Venture Show.
Joint Venture Radio. Yeah.
Show on OK Radio. Right, yeah, this is DJ Si from England telling you this is the Joint Venture Radio Show on OK Radio Bremen. Check it out.
Thanks. Great.